to inner-city youth violence, it seems that there's no end to the innovations in intervention, many of which fizzle out. But very quietly, 2 years ago, a unique program started in Boston, luring kids off the street with weightlifting, and it's seeing some very definitive results.
Lean over it, bring it into the thighs slowly and jump. Good?
6 days a week, John Feynman can be found at the gym, teaching inner-city teens about the lesser-known sport of Olympic weightlifting.
The Olympic lifts just involve a tremendous amount of technique and practice and patience in learning. In that, what we see with a lot of our students is that it teaches a lot of basic skills in terms of patience, hard work, dedication.
Feynman is the founder of Inner-City Weightlifting, a program designed to get the city's most at-risk kids off the streets and into the gym. It launched 2 years ago with 4 students. Today, its membership tops 200. But Feynman says weightlifting is just the hook to get kids through the door. Once inside...
And what's up with college? Are you going to be going to college?
Feynman and his team of coaches and tutors are dedicated to rebuilding their students' lives, offering classes on personal training and GED tutoring.
There's 2 students this summer that graduated from the Boston Public School Credit Recovery Program, and now they're both working full-time jobs. We've gotten 3 and hopefully 4 now students into Year Up, where they get college credit, a stipend, and an internship.
And Feynman says there are a lot of success stories still in the making, like this 23-year-old who preferred we not use his name. He dropped out of school in the 9th grade and has been in and out of jail ever since.
My record, I got gun charges. I got attempted murder.
Since joining the program, he's turned his life around, meeting with a GED tutor twice a week and studying to become a personal trainer.
Yeah, I come here for hope, you know. It did change my life a lot, because usually I would have been in the streets, you know, running the streets, running wild.
The program has also helped to get this 19-year-old, who also asked that we not use his name, off the streets and back into school. With the help of an inner-city weightlifting tutor, he graduated from a technical school in August.
Keeps me out of trouble. I have some things to do. I got good coaches. I got good mentors. They actually currently training me right now for college, because I start college in January.
As for John Feynman, he says the program's popularity and success is making it hard to meet demand. But his biggest obstacle, the uncontrollable nature of the streets.
There's always going to be the streets around that are going to be trying to prevent what we're trying to accomplish. But I mean, we've seen change happen from some kids that people thought change wasn't possible, and just those success stories alone are enough to keep us going.
And with me now is John Feynman, Executive Director and founder of Inner-City Weightlifting. Welcome. So on that point, where you are contending with what happens when they're not with you, I mean, how do you affect change? Because I heard that they're only there for a few hours, a few days a week. So there's a lot of time that they're still susceptible to outside influences.
When it comes to, again, developing that support network, that's so important to what happens when they're not inside the gym with us, is that weightlifting, again, is that hook that allows us to start to build hope, build belief, and from there we can then network into the number of other great programs that are out there that can cement our students into more positive choices and positive decisions that they're making when they're not inside the gym. So it really comes down to starting off with hope and then building a support system around that hope that can help them make those better decisions when they're not inside the gym.
So tell me more about the support system, so that when they're out on the streets and they're approached by gang members or they receive these pressures, what mechanism kicks into place with them?
It's hope for a better life, for a way out, for a future. And as long as they know that something better is waiting ahead, then they tend to start making much better decisions. Again, we're always going to be competing with the streets, but very few, if any, student actually wants to be on the streets. They turn to the streets for hope because they don't have it someplace else, or they turn to the streets because they need the support that they get from the streets. If we can go in and start to interrupt that and build a new pathway to hope and a new pathway to future success, then we can start to effectively compete against time when they're not inside the gym.
Why does it have to be weightlifting? Why is that the key?
Weightlifting is really just a way to leverage a want that they have to then start to address the needs, which is work, academics, again, finding more people to get involved with their lives. And what's really unique about weightlifting is that they want to be there. They want to be in the gym. And that want allows us to break it down to a common denominator and start to build trusting relationships with each student, which again turns into that hope and belief that's so important for interrupting not so good decisions.
So you're catering to something that they already want, because some people might think, particularly with somebody who's been in and out of jail, why are you bringing them into weightlifting, where presumably they could become bigger, stronger, they could be tougher on the streets the next time they get in some sort of engagement like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's not the case. And there's no one in there that is going to become stronger at pulling a trigger. Weightlifting doesn't do that. They're in there for one reason, and that is to find a better way. And again, weightlifting allows us to start to build that relationship. And what's equally as important is that when they're not working, when they're not in school, where do they go? If the streets is their preference, they're going to go to the streets. But if the gym, if weightlifting is now preferred over the streets, then we get them off the streets.
So you found that it's working, because in the 2 years that you've had the program, you've gone from 4 to over 200. So how did that happen? Is it word of mouth? Is it the efforts on your behalf to solicit more of these kids, to bring them in?
It's been mostly word of mouth, which is one of our most important measures, is Net Promoter Score, meaning for every student we target, is that student referring another friend? And for students who have come to 6 or more practices, our Net Promoter Score is 100%. And on top of that, again, it's the team of coaches, our tutors, our board of directors who are very involved, and end of the day, of our students who we've empowered to help grow this organization with us, that are creating this network and this word of mouth to get more students off the streets and into the gym.
How much of an uphill battle do you feel that you face, not only in terms of sort of lofty goals that you've set for yourself to turn these kids around and get them headed in the right direction, but also you tried to have a facility, are trying to have a facility in South Boston, and the neighbors there have really resisted you because they don't want what they see as a negative element, these at-risk kids coming into their neighborhood?
I think the real key is our vision as an organization, which is to use our success as a platform to create a systemic change that can effectively significantly reduce widespread youth violence and substance abuse. And in terms of the uphill battle with some of the students that we have, it's tremendous, because the circumstances that they faced from day one of their lives to today, they're coming from backgrounds that I could never imagine growing up. But again, by getting in there, by giving them something they want, and then using that want to start to address their needs, and that trusting relationship that develops along the way, we see them turning their lives around. And if we can do that with certain students who are facing the most devastating circumstances, just imagine what would happen if every single community was to start to take that approach and get actively involved with every young person they see struggling.
I mean, it makes you wonder how long their battle is, because if this is the perception at the outset, when they finally do turn around and they try to get the GED and they try to make their way in the world, are they still stigmatized? I mean, do they have this confrontation at every level?
At many levels, yes. And one of the things that we try to teach our students, as well as several other organizations that are very effective at working with them, is to use their stories to their advantage. They've gone through some of the most difficult things that most people couldn't turn their lives around, that they couldn't come out of and make that 180, which a lot of our students have. So it's really about them being able to sell themselves and to truly make that change, and a lot of times own up to it and use that as a story to who they are today, in terms of what they've been able to accomplish and get through.
And finally, how deep into their lives do you get? I mean, obviously we see them when they come into the gym, you work with them for studies, but do you get into the psychology of their lives? Do you get into what their home situations are and try to affect change on that level too?
One of the unique things about the gym is that they do start to open up. Again, we can break it down to a common denominator, and because we can do that and start to grow that relationship together, we find them opening up relatively quickly to us and telling us things that they're not telling anyone else. That being said, we recognize where our role or what our capabilities are and where that role stops, and we need to make a referral out. So again, when we talked about building that support network, the second that they're ready, we do try to make those referrals out to professionals and people that can help them get to that next level.
All right, John Feynman, thanks so much for joining us. It's fascinating.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
All right, and when we continue, what the Real Housewives of South Boston might look like.